So on today's show, we've got two amazing artists, proudly from Birmingham. The first artist we've got is Matthew Socci. Now, Matthew Socci is a guitarist from Birmingham. So Matthew, just give us a little introduction about yourself.
Introduction about myself. Okay, so I'm a solo guitarist. It's kind of part-time at the moment. I'm studying at Birmingham School of Acting, training to be an actor at the moment, so it's kind of like on the side. But I just write my own compositions and yeah, there you go.
Okay, so how did you get into playing guitar?
How did I get into playing guitar? Okay, that would have been about, probably when I was about 7 years old. I originally actually wanted to be an electric guitarist, and I was awful because I was 7, and if you've ever heard a 7-year-old play electric guitar, it's usually pretty terrible, and I was that kid. So it's quite funny because I asked my parents a few years later and said, can I have a guitar teacher? And they said yes, and I was expecting them to give me an electric guitar teacher, and they got me a classical guitar teacher, so I thought, okay, this is interesting. But then from then I just got really into classical guitar, being inspired by classical guitarists, and my first 2 albums, it was kind of a mix of contemporary, it was a contemporary classical, so it was classical music but with a contemporary style with it. But yeah, I'm trying to release a double disc album, hopefully by the end of the year. And that is, again, contemporary classical. I've got some orchestrated tracks, so we've got some like violins, cellos. Hopefully we're going to play one of those tracks today. We've also got some piano and some whistles in there as well. But I'd say the majority of the compositions are right at the moment, and about half of the album will probably be this, it's a style that's actually getting popular lately. It's kind of this percussive tapping style, which was actually on the Wonga advert, if you've recently seen it. But yeah, so it's that kind of style is my latest compositions.
That's really cool, actually. So talk to me about some of the techniques that you use. Techniques,
okay. Yeah, so basically I'll talk about this tapping style because it's something that I'm quite passionate about. Yeah, so basically the guitar is a cajon with strings. That's basically what it is. It's a cajon with strings. You can get so many different now, it's just like the physics of it, really, like where you're going to hit it, you're going to get different sounds. So basically, to get a bass drum sound, just use the palm of your hand and, yeah, get it up there, down there. You can get a snare drum, pretty easy, you just hit it, really. Also, because I trained as a classical guitarist, so I learned to grow my nails on my right hand. So, just scratching my nails on there. Sounds a bit gross at the moment, but if you add a snare to it, not too bad. You can get, like, slap harmonics. So yeah, so while my right hand is doing this percussive work, my left hand is now free to do things like, we've got hammer-ons. So hammer-on is basically you just hammer on, and then pull off. So you've got hammer-ons and pull-offs. So hammer-on, you don't pluck it, just hammer-on, pull off. So you can do things like this, like. Sometimes I might not want to be as complex on my left hand. I might want something quite simple on my left hand, and then let the drumming like take the focus. So I could, I'll come up with like a little, hang on. So say if we're doing this, so we're doing 2, 3, 4. So that's quite simple. And also, so note that what I'm doing here is when I'm slapping the strings, but I'm slapping it by the bridge. So I'm also getting a bass drum sound. Okay, so now I'm going to add something a bit more complex in my right hand, so something like. So this kind of thing here I can get like with the slap harmonics. You can get nice little, rhythms and stuff. So yeah, as I said, it's a style that's getting a bit popular lately, and I think one thing I would like to say is because the style's getting more popular, I think there is a danger, and the danger is that some people are kind of looking at it and thinking that the style's a bit of like a new gimmick kind of thing, and for those who think that, I think what I'd like to say is that, I mean, for a start, drumming on the guitar isn't really anything new. I mean, people have been doing it in flamenco guitar for years. It's actually a really normal thing to drum on the guitar. I mean, that's why it was designed to be a box with strings with all these different sounds. So potentially, you're actually wasting half the instrument if you don't use it as a drum. But I think the most important thing for me really is when I'm doing this style at gigs is that people don't think it is like a way of showing off or anything like that, but they actually just see it as a normal technique that I use to express whatever it is I'm trying to say in the song.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's really cool. So, what inspires you to write your songs?
Okay, well, it always comes out of improvisation. I don't think I've ever actually sat down and thought analytically about what I'm going to write. And I think part of that is because I have no idea what I'm playing. I never really learned the theory side of music, so I could never sit down and come up from scratch. It's always out of improvisation. So I like to focus on something that I'm passionate about and then just release it in the music. And I think, you know, some of the most honest songs that I've written have all been inspired by my faith and worship and, you know, just praying into the improvisation to see where God wants to take it. And so I'll give you an example. So like I'll be focusing on God, and sometimes I get pictures. I get pictures to kind of like, you know, to help with the imagery of the piece. So one time, okay, I was writing a song called War Dance, and I had a picture. I felt God gave me a picture in my mind, and the picture was that I was on a horse, and I was going out to battle on this horse. Yeah, so I started doing this. So it's sticking to that strict tempo of someone like bouncing up and down on a saddle. Like. Yeah, I think War Dance has a lot of, you know, like fast playing as well. Like. So it's got a lot of those fast techniques to try and create that madness. And I think whenever I'm putting something fast or very technical into a piece, I think there always has to be a purpose behind it. There always has to be a reason. I think there's a lot of guitarists out there today who kind of make it their goal to like play at 1,000,000 miles an hour and try to, because they think that playing fast means playing good, and it's not. That's not, because if you make the goal technical skill, if you make the goal technical skill, then your music will become the musical equivalent of talking a lot but not actually saying anything. And you need to know what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
So
true.
I think, I mean, sometimes what you're saying might not need, or something very simple might. Something with space. Yeah, so that wasn't particularly very complex. I mean, you've got the tremolo. But apart from that, it was quite simple, and you know, sometimes that's all you need, really. And I think we just need to have it in our minds of why do we want to be musicians? Like, do we want to be musicians so that people come up to us and say, "Oh, wow, you can play at 1,000,000 miles an hour," or do we want people saying, "Actually, your music affected me and it helped me"? You know, my motive is always worship, really. So,
Okay,
yeah.
That's really good. So I take it your spiritual faith has influenced your
definitely.
music a lot. That's really good. That's good to hear. So after today, how do you reckon people could get in contact with you then?
So I'm on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Twitter, and all you need to do is type my name in. So that's Matthew Socci, Socci. If you're on a laptop right now, I'll say it again, Socci. Enter.
Great stuff. Thank you, Matthew. That's been a great interview.